I gotta pee, so let's.
We'll make it fast. It's fine. We got this. What an ending, right? And also, this is such a emotional roller coaster of a film for me because even the dark moments have this edge of humor to them. And I can't wait to dig into this whole thing. But first, I want to ask about your partnership. It's a partnership in life. It's a partnership in art and work. You've made 3 films in 3 years.
Yeah, we've made a lot of movies.
Yeah.
We already have the next one done,
Yes.
which is weird. Well, we won't talk about that. I don't know. You start.
A partnership? I mean,
Why?
I don't know. No.
Why me?
Honestly, this is something we both have always been really passionate about. I've been an actor since I was a kid, and we wanted to make our own content. And then, we would do some music videos and some things here and there. But I feel like it was just right before COVID happened, and then the lockdown. There was nothing going on, and we kind of felt like that was our moment to start creating content and making our own films. And we started slowly, and we just got addicted. It's like getting a tattoo; you can't stop.
I mean, it's LA, so I assume there are filmmakers here, writers, directors, actors in the room. Yeah, so we started wanting to make movies, and we kind of did what we thought you were supposed to do, which was take meetings and go to lunches and meet with producers that said they had money and they were gonna make these movies for us, and it just never happened. So both of us come from music, and I was thinking about this, and when you start a band, you start a band. You have some friends and you get in the garage and you plug in and you play. And so that's the only way that we know how to do things. So when it was time to make movies, we treated it like that, where we just let's just make a movie. So we have so many talented friends, and we made so many more through the process of this. So, I mean, that would be advice to anyone that there is a way to do it. You can figure it out. You just work hard. We both do 50 jobs each, and I'm not going to tell you what we made this for, but you'd be shocked. And we made it in 12 days, so it's just like, it can be done. You just gotta
I just noticed that watching the credits that...
The credits roll in about 4 seconds.
I know, they're like, should we bring the lights up? But I think the credits might go over. So.
Well, Spider, you, in addition to writer, director, you also did production design, wardrobe, art department.
Yeah.
And Krsy, editor. Editor's so cool. And sound design and music.
Well, we didn't do, actually,
Yeah.
music was by a very talented guy, somewhere here, Roy Mayorga did the score for this movie. Roy, the score is so fucking cool. It just sounds so good in here, so thanks, Roy.
No, it was thrilling because normally all of our films I've done that, and there is some of my music in there, but I basically put temp music knowing that we wanted someone who really understood the 70s aesthetic and had all the equipment that was necessary to make it feel like that. And I was like, just beat my temp and wrote it. So thank you, Roy, you're amazing.
So how did this idea materialize between the two of you? And take us into the process that you share creatively too. How does any film start with you two, and how did this one begin?
I mean, the idea is, inspired from being parents and being, that if anybody's a parent here, it eats you alive in great ways and terrible ways that you sacrifice and you worry and you struggle and you do, no matter how hard you try, outside influences come and fuck up your scene, and you dream of this Brady Bunch situation, and anyway, so what better way than to represent all of this stuff with a monster, right? I mean, I grew up loving horror and sci-fi and comic books, and the thing that I really love about this genre is that it always dealt with serious subjects, and sometimes throughout history you couldn't talk about in movies or TV. And if you watch old Twilight Zones, and they would take these, they would use allegories by using monsters or robots and things like that. And I just always loved that. So that was like, that made any sense? Yeah, that is sort of how we came to this. And then she read it and said, I need to play this part.
Yeah, no, I really out of anything that he's written, and when I read much. Beyond obviously the parent aspect, I just think survivors of abuse, and I was like, this is such an important story, and I just wanted to do it. This is the most flawed and interesting character I've ever read for a woman, and I was so excited to do it. So thank you, Spider.
Well, you kind of gave us a hint as to how intimate the crew was, right? Like how small a crew you were working with, the number of days you were working with. Every film is a miracle, right? Every film made is a miracle, even more so for independent film. What would you say was the journey of getting this made?
I mean, it's honestly just hard work, and like I said, we take on 10, 20 jobs each, because we can't always afford to pay a wardrobe designer, so I just figure out what they're gonna wear or whatever. But what really is, and when you mention our crew, I mean, there are set days where we maybe have 7 people, maybe not including the actors, and a lot of them are here, and they're amazing people. I always say, I've said this before, I'll say it again, it doesn't take an army to make a movie, you just have to choose the right fucking soldiers, and we got the right soldiers. I wish Andy was here.
No, it's true. Our crew is our family. They've done every movie we've ever done, and it's just become this thing. Like, all of them get paid way more doing other things, but they always come back for us because they just love horror and they love what we're doing, and they're part of our little team, and we love them so much.
I think that, that is that you find people, hopefully, that are willing to, also we are fiercely independent, so we do, our actors are always under SAG union, but we don't really use any other union, so if I have to move this table, I can move it and not have to check with props department or whatever you do when you deal with unions. So, I mean, we have, Danny's here, Danny Valentine here. Danny climbs trees for us.
He literally was in the tree during the barber scene, like holding, like Hollywooding something.
There's a scene where it's a park, right, where Krsy talks to Heather Langenkamp, and unfortunately there was a tree and there was this giant wooden swing hanging in the shop, which we didn't want, and Danny's like, I got it, and he scales the tree like, I don't know how you did it, and he was tied. So you have to just find people like that, and it happens,
There's this fantastic monster that you create in Aguirre, and I wondered if you could take us into first the character design of Aguirre, and then how the creature design came out of that.
Yeah, I mean, the character was always, I always wanted the monster to be a monster, but also, not fall in the archetype of Jason or Michael Myers, which is a silent killer, and I didn't want to lean into like the wisecracking Chucky thing. So I wanted the monster to be, his psychological torture be equal to the physical torture. So he's just in her head, and he preys on every insecurity that she has as a parent, and I think there's something like, really, like that song he sings to her about her dead husband is just so terribly good. And so that led to how do we design this. So it had to be monstrous, but it couldn't be so monstrous that it didn't. This is a true acting job, so we had to have the prosthetics just right, where even John Sklarov, who unfortunately isn't here, but he actually is a real monster. We didn't use any makeup at all. It's funny how he's never here in the basement.
Well, also we should give a shout out to Ashley Stansbury's here, who's one of the makeup
Yes.
artists who
we had a very, very small makeup crew. So how many people do we have?
Well, it was Ashley and Ken did the monster, and then we had Allie come on for a few days when we had the excessive bites.
Yeah.
And then we had a beauty makeup artist, Paige, who never had to make me look beautiful, but that was it.
But I don't know, it was in the coming up with the voice, we tried a whole bunch of different things, and we finally landed on, because we wanted him to seem very arrogant, that felt like he was so much better than Indy, so we came up with this, what I call a theatre voice. It's not quite a British accent, it's just kind of a pompous theatre voice. And John, sorry, I know I talk too much, but John is a very method actor, so he stayed in character the entire time. And no one realized that when we wrapped, he was actually from New York. And
He also wore his teeth during lunch, so he'd only drink smoothies out of a straw.
You're so amazing. He gives such a fantastic performance opposite Krsy's fantastic. By the way, are you
Except for the scene with Elizabeth and John at the door. Yeah, I didn't realize that till I
And how about Elizabeth, our before you talk about your part, I just want to say one thing about Elizabeth is she's so pro that she never needed more than one take, but I would make her do two just so the adults didn't feel bad.
Yeah, she's so good. She was 11 years old when she was in the show. It was very amazing.
Krsy, can you take us into playing Mindy? What was it like to carry her with you day in and day out, and was it hard to shake her at the end of the day?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've said this in some interviews now, like, out of any character I've ever played, I got in this like dark hole with Mindy because I kind of never got to be happy. And it was just such a heavy subject all the time. I mean, I remember there was this, shooting where Ashley came up to me after, she's like, oh, those tears looked good. I was like, I was crying. I didn't know, you know what I mean? It was just, I lost myself in this character. So when we wrapped, it took me almost a month to not be depressed, which was really sad, but yeah, you should be. No, but also very rewarding as an actress because I was like, oh, I really kind of slipped into this. And honestly, playing opposite something like John, like in the dark, and honestly, we could never see the camera. It was just the two of us. He's violating me in every way possible and being horribly mean to me. So it was a crazy experience, but also just very easy to sort of just fall into this person. And then by the time it got into like Barbara coming or Bonnie, I was already just miserable and felt attacked constantly. That it was a very natural progression for this character, and it was really rewarding. But yeah, it took me a while.
Well, Spider, you mentioned the song scene where Aguiar sings this taunting song to Mindy, and the energy between the two of you in that scene is just so visceral.
Thank you. That was, I think, out of all the scenes, other than maybe when he was biting my thigh, the one that, have you ever in your life just been in a situation where you're like, I gotta get the fuck out of here right now? That's how I felt the whole time. We did one take of my coverage and I had so much snot running down my face, he didn't make me do it again. That was it. Because I was just like, the second you said cut, I was out of there. I was just like, I don't want to be here, I don't want him to touch me, I don't want him to look at me. And that's sort of how I felt the whole time I worked with John. He's a very nice human, but unfortunately, when he had that makeup on and he was method, I just did not want to be near him.
I was curious about the origin of the name Aguiar, and if that was a reference to an inspiration or anything that you took.
I was looking for, I believe, if someone will correct me, but I think Aguiar in Hungarian is fang or tusk or something. So I was just trying to be cute.
That's cute.
Krsy, because you have such the unusual experience of also being your own editor, I was hoping you could give us some insight. What is that like to, A, know you are editing a scene you're about to shoot, know Spider's approach, there's so many long takes in this film where a scene really breathes. And
they call that a slow burn.
But for you, you know these things, you know how it's going to be edited, or you have a feeling. How does that inform how you play a scene?
Well, yeah, I mean, so those sort of two different things. Well, one, approaching the scenes, I knew, and all of the actors knew, we had a lot of conversations ahead that we were going to really take our time and really pace every single conversation and really think about everything you say before you say it. And I really love that as an actor because you really got the chance to just emote and really just feel all the feelings. So that was really cool, and I really kept that in the back of my head when I started editing. You get very sick of yourself, let me tell you, I'm very sick of myself. But the one thing about this film is I'm a very bubbly person. I'm the complete opposite of Mindy, so I kind of forgot it was me a lot of the time, and that was helpful. I looked so bad, so that was nice. But yeah, so I just, being on set every single day, and also just we do so much pre-production. I knew exactly what he wanted, and it was sort of nice because he went on tour right after we shot this movie, so I got to get my first cut while he was gone. So he didn't get to like nitpick, and then I could send him and he'd give me notes, and it was probably the easiest edit I've ever done because we didn't overshoot any of this footage, and honestly we didn't have time to. So
Well, it's a good thing you had such a fantastic cast around you. Can we talk about the actors that you brought on to join this project?
Yeah, what good fortune we have to not only know these people, but consider them our good friends. And we all had dinner today before this. And to be able to put together this sort of female trifecta horror legend thing was pretty spectacular with Barbara Crampton. Bonnie Aaron's mother. And Heather Langenkamp, you may have heard of her. It was so fun also to put them in parts that maybe were unexpected for them to play.
And each of those dynamics that Mindy has with them is so different, right?
yeah, that was sort of the special thing because, well, Barbara is one of my best friends ever, and so I couldn't imagine hating her. And that was always like the intimidating thing when it finally got to the time where she was gonna come to set. We shot all of her stuff in one day. It was the hardest day on set because we had the most pages. And she's so good, and her experience, it just made it so easy to hate her and then love her immediately when it was over. So thank you, Barbara. And also, like, did you see her little stunt? She like dove into that room. I thought it was so funny, and Spider was terrified.
Yeah. No stunt person for Barbara Crampton.
No, she does her own
Barbara, are you
stuff.
sure? We're gonna push her in. So when Krsy pushes her in that room, we just have this like janky little mattress on the floor for her.
She dove and pointed her toes, like she was it was amazing. Yeah, and then obviously Heather is someone that I've grown up, A Nightmare on Elm Street was one of my favorite films ever. We watched it probably once a month. I love that movie, and so getting to work with her was incredible, and she just brought this warmth and this heart to the character that was so important. And I was just lost in her eyes the whole time. So that was really amazing. We've become really good friends. And then Bonnie and I have been friends for a very long time, and Bonnie and I have always had this secret dream to play mother and daughter. So we got to make this happen, and there's no greater force of a personality than Bonnie Aaron. So I'm very grateful that she got to play my mother.
And what a mother-daughter relationship tonight. You really understand how Mindy approaches parenthood from seeing her interact with her own mom.
Yeah.
There's a cast member I would love to hear more about because their performance is so good, and that's Chaz Bonham. Paul just wants to just waiting at the bus stop. Let's go home.
Yeah, I feel like out of everyone in the movie, maybe even more than Elizabeth, nobody wanted Paul to die. Like, he's just the most heartwarming. But no, it was so fun getting to work with Chaz. Chaz and I are best friends, and we've gotten to act before together, but this was really fun because I got to try to seduce him, and it was so uncomfortable that it was so fun. I would just make him sweat, and it was like we were both so awkward, and it was just.
That ice cream was disgusting.
He's never eaten strawberry ice cream ever since. He hates it so much. But no, he was so good. He was really mad at me, but like putting that toupee on him was I died.
And dragging Chaz down the stairs, we tried to rig up anything we could, and nothing would work. So I'm like, well, Chaz, we're just doing it. And that sweater on those carpets.
It's like Velcro, you guys. Like seriously, he and I both couldn't walk the next day.
I was gonna ask you the unsung hero of the film, but maybe I think that makes Chaz taking the stairs.
100%.
Also, what a tremendous performance. We're almost out of time because we have another show in here because it's Beyond Fest.
Yeah.
But there's so many hilarious lines in this movie. A lot of them are accurate, and just like watching this movie going, that line must have been so fun to write. That line, I wrote a couple of my favorites down. One is, the room will be licked clean.
Yeah.
And another one is, poor mommy Mindy will be left to rot in her rocking chair.
Oh, wheelchair. I'm so happy though that the line, Mom, I think we just need to kill him.
And then I have to ask about one of your executive producers becoming involved. A very special Oscar, Grammy,
Yeah, I know.
Emmy, Cher.
Yeah, insane, right? I mean, you know, Chaz had some connections.
Yeah, I mean, that whole experience was really crazy because I think back on it was really the first time I met her in person was for Chaz's birthday, and she had a little intimate dinner party, and I think Nikki and Shara and Chaz were there, and a couple of, and that's it. And she sat down beside me and started asking me all these questions about our horror movies, and I'm like, there's no way she cares about this. And she's like, it really scares me, I don't know, but she just kept talking about it, and I think Chaz started thinking about it. So Chaz reached out and was like, hey, when we did our last film, our film before Little Bites Bury the Bride, he's like, I think I want to produce this with you guys. And we're like, absolutely, we already wanted him in the movie, so it worked out great. And it went really well. We went to Cher's house after we finished Bury the Bride, and we showed her the rough cut in her bedroom, which was crazy. My daughter was like doing somersaults on her bed. It was crazy. So then, shortly after, we get the script for Little Bites, and we start pre-production, and Chaz comes back on board as a producer. And I remember it was Mother's Day. She's like, yeah, I want to do this with you guys. And we're like, holy shit, this is crazy. And she's like, she was even today, she's like, you think I'm going to be able to sit through this? I'm so scared. I'm like, you've already seen it. But I think we're making a horror fan of her because she's starting to watch these horror movies now. She's like, so I saw Get Out, I really liked it. No, I mean, she's the best, and she actually came on board as an executive producer of our next film that we've already wrapped, which is called Big Baby.